Yeah, never, never. It's always something.
Maybe Moors, man.
Just so
You
you
guys,
know, we're back
you guys
on
go
two.
too hard.
Yeah, we're back on two. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um. So yeah, and so again, hear what they're saying and relate that to Noble Drew Ali. During the 30 years that the Alamo was a military headquarters, it went through another major design change that would be hidden to historians for more than a century. Army personnel painted over the Moorish-looking frescoes that ringed the wall and ceiling of the Alamo's former sacristy, featuring geometric patterns of flowers and pomegranates. The frescoes, which military deemed frilly, are a missing link to the Alamo's Spanish-Moorish past. When Bruce Winters, the Alamo's official historian, saw the frescoes when they were first uncovered in 2000, he thought that at least a section of them resembled the geometric forms of Moorish art and architecture. When I interviewed him in 2007, Winters continued to believe that the frescoes are definitely rooted in Moorish culture. Often, he told me, what we think of as Spanish comes from that contact with the Moors. Is there more that's needed? Still, you don't get the point why he said certain things? He was tying us to something. Since Christian traditions have also emphasized the pomegranate, particularly as a symbol of fertility, it is difficult to parse out exactly how much of the pomegranate symbolism in the Alamo is from Moorish influence and how much is purely Spanish. The intricate geometry of the frescoes suggests an obvious Moorish influence. Obvious. Right? Obvious. Now again, this is key, right? When I toured the Alamo, the frescoes were one of many highlights of the sacristy, but they were not the biggest draw, not even close. The large crowds gathered around the law book, journals, and other materials left behind by Davy Crockett, the coon skin cap wearing icon of American valor and determination. Before visiting the Alamo, I had thought that Crockett and his fellow soldiers were almost entirely Anglo-Americans. But the Alamo's band of stalwart defenders includes large numbers of Mexican Americans who opposed Santa Anna's governance, and at least one African American who is listed on the Alamo plaque as John, a black freedman. He was the only one of 189 people on the plaque without a last name. Now, they made a reference there to Mexican Americans. Now, Mexico is in North America. But they say Mexicans there. And then above Mexico, there's quote unquote United States and quote unquote Canada. Both places which are land usurped by Europeans when they founded the New World and all that stuff. And the people who call themselves Moors are going to tell you that there's this fictitious line called a border that separates these two places and makes them countries on this continent where everybody from Mexico down has a nationality. And then the bunch of people above that don't know who they are and call themselves everything that they think that they are and not sure about. And then Noble Drew Ali said, Moorish Americans. They said, why are we Moorish Americans? Because we're descendants of Moroccans born in America. We were descendants of Moroccans born in America. Now, the Moroccans who we descended from had to be from Morocco if they're going to be called Moroccan. That's real simple, basic. If they're Moroccan, they're from Morocco. But Noble Drew Ali is not talking about across the Atlantic Ocean and some Morocco over there. He said descendants of Moroccans born in America. We're descendants of the Moroccans that were born in America, not us being born in America. The descendants, why are we Moorish Americans? Because we are descendants of Moroccans born in America. Moroccans born in America aren't the descendants. Moroccans born in America were those Moroccans that we descended from. That's how we know that over here is Morocco. Because Noble Drew Ali put it in his literature. And if you think you'll figure this stuff out, because everything is coded, not because of some masonry. Because don't you hear that this man had to bring the Quran over here by memory? He couldn't even bring the book because they were going to take the book if they knew he had it. Are you understanding the magnitude of the? He goes across. Nobody doesn't deny that he was here and then went over there, right? Nobody denies it. Okay, he went over there, and when he came back here, he recited the book to the printer. And the man who's sitting there taking the notes of what he's orating was blown away. That this man remembered all this stuff. You can just go watch Book of Eli if you want a reference point. And then, of course, Denzel was in it. If you know what they're doing, you know exactly what they're doing. If you've seen Book of Eli, remember they had Noble Jewelry on the fridge in the other Denzel movie. Remember, they had Noble Jewelry on the fridge in the other Denzel movie.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And then Denzel again ended up being the guy who had to memorize the book. It's real. Like it is real. So real. Only if you realize that it is. If you don't realize that it is, then you're not even waste. So we are the descendants. And if Moroccans are born in America, then he's telling you that in this place called America, just like there's a Mexico and a Brazil and a Cuba and go down line, okay, there's a Morocco in America because we're the descendants of Moroccans who were born here. If they're born here, obviously they're indigenous here. I mean, what's there to mess up in that? How could you mess that up? How could you not get that? It's basic. So this is why when people start talking crazy about Moorish Canadians and stuff like that, you have to question those people's mindset. Because they're going to talk about some, I violate some Act 3 or some BS. Then what are they violating by denationalizing people? These people obviously are part of the sellout. And, they might be a good liar. So they can hide it well. They might be unknowing of how much of a sellout they are. But the fact remains that some people sold you out. Some people sold you out because they're trying to make you be fictions. When we're going through All America and all they're talking about is Moorish in there. Who do you think they're talking about? Some pale people from Spain? Do you really think they're talking about some Europeans right now? And going back to that same thing, we're going to say that this is Morocco. They're going to be debating us or whatever. Then they're not debating the European when they call themselves American. And they're not debating the European when they call U.S. a government. And they're not debating when U.S. talks about democracy. But as soon as more start putting truth out and putting these people in a corner, now they want to debate stuff. Now they have a point. Right? Because they can't fathom in their mind that over here is also Africa. They're going to see all the names from over there, over here, but they still can't digest it in their mind that over here is also Africa. Just saying that alone is going to have people messed up. Messed up. Just saying that is going to have people messed up. Just saying it Now them actually having to sit down and digest this thing. And then we didn't even get to a Maxim yet. We didn't even get there. We're still dealing with America and over here. Even though it's called America, over here being Africa. Before we start talking about slave ships and people brought whatever, if over here is Africa and people were taken from Africa as slaves and brought to America, how does that resonate with you? Think about over here being Africa, remember, not over there. But again, the Aboriginal indigenous guys aren't going to tell you like that because now they're African. And then that destroys all that Turtle Island crap. Because Africa is a continent. And America is a continent. And then they're on both different hemispheres of the world. Like, why wouldn't they be the same? How hard is it to digest that over here is over there and over there is over here? They have colonization over there. You got niggas playing the Jesus over there, pale European. People want to bleach their skin, want to be Europeans and stuff like that. It's going on over there. What are you talking about? The same type of debate stuff that they're having over there, the debate stuff they're having over there. Because everybody doesn't want to realize all your leaders sold out. When are you going to save yourself? What are you going to say to yourself? But you're going to tie yourself to ancient foremothers and forefathers who were Moroccans that were born in America. Because over here is Morocco, and over here is Africa, and over here is America, and over here is Egypt. Yes, and hieroglyphics over here, and sphinxes and pyramids over here. Not over there. Because over here is also Africa. No, it can't be Africa. Why not? Above Mexico is United States and Canada on a map. When we research United States and Canada, that's on the map, in an unabridged dictionary or an early edition law dictionary, it's going to tell you that those are corpses. It's going to tell you that those are corporations. Yes, it's going to tell you country as well. But if a country could be a corporation, then you can't even trust somebody saying country. So nobody said empire. Because you can't mess that up. You might mess up Moor Science Temple and organization, but you can't mess up the grand scheme of things. The broader perspective could never be destroyed. And this was his whole thing. Making our ripple extend beyond our being to areas unknown, that we don't even have to go there and they're going to feel the ripple. And they'll know that the Moor's been here. They know that the Moors left their mark here. Remember, we're talking about the Alamo. And they have stuff covered over that proves over here was Moorish lands. Isn't it the same stuff that they talk about when they knock the nose off the Sphinx and they put plaster over the hieroglyphics? Isn't that the same stuff that they're talking about that happened over here? You think there was no grave robbers on this side? You think there wasn't some curse on some tomb over here? People been playing. Because Noble Drew Ali brought everything that was needed to save the nation. And told every single one of you Moors to take it and save yourself. But you're sitting there waiting for some grand sheikh to do it. Or supreme grand sheikh to do it. Or some angel to come from heaven with the circle 7 tattoo on the forehead for you to do it. When the more Noble Drew Ali told you, take this and save yourself. Save yourself. Only those who save themselves will know what this is about. A lot of people don't want to save themselves. A lot of people love to be in the cares of the world. Some people just want to be in the cares of the world. Like one of the Moors said in that track, who the hat fit won't wear it. Sleep on that one tonight. Who the hat fit won't wear it. The ones who are supposed to be on the level. They want to play like they're not on the level. Want to not live up to the standard, the expected standard. That you're going to know yourself for real. Not playing around with do we know ourselves. Not playing games out here, just telling people that we're all these different names. When you have Moorish nationality paperwork, and your leader has Moorish nationality paperwork, and they went to Moorish Science Temple and they proclaim themselves as Moors and they have that stuff in the background and they're not telling people. That people are going to court right now that these people know in the conscious community or whatever, and they're going there as Moors. They're not going there as some slave name or some organizational name that how they're talking in court is how Moors talk. Right? Listen, we've been around. We got a decade in this. We've seen many try, seen many fail. But when the dust settled, all that's left is the foundation that was laid before. How you building on the foundation? Now it's your turn. If every Moor would take this and save theirself, you know how far Moors would be? But again, it's that, you know, psychic, whatever they put on us, that have us not wanting to get over, like, trust me, been there, been black, been African, Rasta, been all that. Not that there's no salvation there, but what is needed for us to truly be free is not going to be found in anything dealing with slave brands, dealing with nom de guerres. It's just wasting time. Like the Moors who study know. The Moors who study know. The Moors who are Negro, black, colored, and all the other stuff, who study and know, if they had that information that they got later in life about their nationality and birthrights, from when they came out the womb, they wouldn't be the people that they are right now. That's how we know that this place isn't, because certain things are just logic stuff doesn't line up. Good die young and all that BS. Why is good die young? Good should be living on forever. Like, what do you mean, good die young? And then the guy who freaking was the pedophile and raped 50 billion children or whatever like that, he's chilling. No issues. Nobody egging his house or nothing like that. He's chilling. But the little brother who was a leader in the community and whatever like that, he's catching a stray through 2 doors and then a window and then through a concrete wall where there was a hole, and then he just got hit. Chimney fall on the guy who, you know what I mean, been helping people all his life. But the clown who did some type of not moral behavior, he gets to sit in a cell by himself for the rest of his life, 3 meals a day on the taxpayers' money. And then they're not complaining about that. They're going to come debate Moors about, do we have to be Muslim? We set ourselves up because nobody really brought something for us. The fact that you don't even know his name should be a sign to how messed this thing is. That this man's been around longer than anybody. Anybody who's out today talking about their whatever, they don't got 100 years in this. Maybe NAACP. And if that survived 100 years, then there must be a setup. Certain other things didn't last, but the Negro advancement stuff lasted. Please, there must be a setup going on. This can't be. This game is rigged. This game been rigged since we came out the womb. This game's been rigged. Like super rigged. Like rigged to the point of why we even playing this game? Why even rolling the dice? Yeah, well, I think we can get back in it because why what are you talking about? Every time you roll that dice, we lose consciousness. And you're talking about roll the dice? Put the dice in your pocket. Stop playing around. You know what dice are? Again, going. Right? Remember, years ago, just go back on Canaanland Moors, go look at the class. We did the Black Mommy or the Moorish Oracle. We broke down the Black Mommy. And then they read your future in some tea leaves. Forget crystals. Here, have some tea. Yeah, there's stuff floating in it. Don't worry about the stuff floating. You just drink your tea. When you get to the bottom, read the tea at the bottom of the cup. Read that. Tell me that's not some sybil? And all of them had turbans on and all of that. Cards, dice, whatever it was. Cowrie shells. Everything is connected to the higher power. So then everything has energy in it that you could, a plant's going to tell you what's up. If you listen to the plant, stuff's going to grow. If you don't listen to the plant, you're not going to yield no fruit. Well, you're mad at nature. Because it's us. We're the ones who make or mar our fortune. We're the ones. What are we going to do with what we got? Man laid it down. To all those who love justice, all those who are sick and tired of being sick and tired, guess what? You can proclaim your nationality and start anew. Start anew. It's all yours. Islam more. If you have anything to add in right now.
Just real quick, because you had brought up earlier about it being Africa over here too and whatnot. I wanted to add on to that. Just had it. Okay, it's coming out of the book The Myth of Continents. It's in chapter 1, called The Architecture of Continents, the development of the continental scheme. It says, in contemporary usage, continents are understood to be large, continuous, discrete masses of land, ideally separated by expanses of water. Although of ancient origin, this convention is both historically unstable and surprisingly unexamined. The required size and requisite degree of physical separation has never been defined. As we shall see, the sevenfold continental system of American elementary school geographics did not emerge in final form until the middle decades of this present century. So, and this book was written, I guess, like during the 1900s. So, like, when it says like the middle decades, they mean like during the 1950s. So the whole concept of these are the continental boundaries didn't exist until 1950s. And that's why when we research a lot of stuff, like when was Morocco founded and stuff like that, it's 1957 and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, it makes sense. Because that's when they just started making up stuff. Because it tells you right there, ancient origin, the convention, and although of ancient origin, this convention is both historically unstable and surprisingly unexamined. So, like, in this ancient origin, we didn't look at that like the concept, like what they see as, oh, this is that side, this is that. That's not how we looked at it. Because, and I like to say that too, because there is, like you say, empire. The prophet was talking about empires, because there's a difference between an empire and continents and countries. And it was interesting because you had brought that up, and me and my boy was just talking about that yesterday. How, the thing is, it's about, the empire. It's not really about the country and continents and stuff like that. Like, we was just talking about that yesterday. I said, but he was like, that's something we got to keep studying. And I'm like, yeah, he's right, because it's something to do more with being part of an empire than not being part of, these political geographic lines that they made up recently. Like, it literally said it was made up in the middle decades of this present century. Like, that's amazing. Like, they just made that up. Just made this up.
Straight.
And it was another thing too, because I remember bringing this up too. That's why I love collecting dictionaries. And one dictionary, Webster Dictionary, it has the etymology of the word Moroccan means a sultanate. So when I like, that was in one dictionary that I have, was the definition of Moroccan was a word Moroccan was a sultanate. I thought that was crazy. Because when the prophet asks, why are you Moorish American? Because we're descendants of Moroccans born in America. I'm like, a Moroccan is a sultanate, according to this one Webster dictionary that I have. So I always think that that's amazing just to see that.
Yeah. Puts it in its right perspective. Puts it in its right perspective. So it's not like they don't know. You know, like they know so good.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, because before I forget,
yeah.
In Spain too, about Spain. Now here goes another thing. If you research Spain and you type in when did Spain become a country, it'll tell you 1978. But then when you type in when did the Spanish Empire start, it'll tell you 1492.
Mm-hmm.
Now you see that's two totally different things.
Playing games.
And then now look at this. When you type in where is the Spanish Empire, it's going to tell you over here, like the Spanish Empire, over here, Mexico, the Caribbeans and all of that. It's going to tell you that that's where the Spanish Empire started, over here. But then when the country, Spain, is over there, and that started in 1978. Now, how is that? So when they talking about Spain in ancient history, what are they talking about? And that's according to the map. You can Google it right now or whatever. Type it in. It'll tell you. The Spanish Empire, where was it? And it'll tell you Mexico, Florida. It's going to start telling you over here in 1492.
Letting them know. Letting them know. So hard for our people. But you know, you'll get it. Eventually you'll get it. Stop playing around and you'll get it. The height of Orientalism. When US presidents donned fezzes and said Salam Alaikum. This is from the same book, All America. All America. What does Olawian think of the Shriners' continuing emphasis on fez hats and Arabic greetings? Right. And they're talking to a 77-year-old retired electrician that's a practicing Muslim American. What does Olawian think of the Shriners' continuing emphasis on fez hats and Arabic greetings? I love it, he tells me. It doesn't bother me a bit. Olawian says that he had adulated the Shriners since he was a small child in downtown Detroit and watched their annual parade. Olawian was dazzled by the procession of men wearing fezzes, though he prefers the Arabic word for the hat, tarbouche. In 1960, a year after being married, Olawian joined the Masons, then became a Shriner in 1691 because I wanted to do something different. Masonry is very dry. The Shriners are like a playground. They get loose. He is a member of the Shriners of Southfield, Michigan chapter, which is called the Muslim Shriners. When Oluwiyan has worn in public his Muslim Shriners emblem, whether on a fez or on a sweater or jacket, strangers have approached him, particularly during periods of war in the Middle East. They say, "Are you Muslim?" And I say, "I just happen to be one," says Oluwiyan. Then they say, "Do you have to be Muslim to be a Shriner?" I say, "No." Then I tell them the Shriner story. And 2 weeks later, they're asking me for a petition to get into the Shriners. You realize what just happened? You realize that they're taking your position that you had in the Moor Science Temple of America, where you were the ones with the fezzes, and you were the ones that had the street shut down so you could have the parade and all that type of stuff. And then they usurped all of your stuff because you want to be Negro, black, colored, and everything else that's not yourself. And we don't get it. These people have the organization. They wear your fez. They wear your buttons, all your emblems. People are asking them, "Do you have to be a Muslim to be a Shriner?" Because he's Muslim. And what he's telling them, "No. But you go to some Moors or whatever, do I have to be Muslim to be a Moor?" Well, Allah is what are you talking about? Well, Noble Drew Ali said that our religion is Islamism, so that means that we're supposed to be Muslims and we're supposed to be doing Islamic stuff. What? If you research the Moors, there were Moors in America before Noble Drew Ali said Moors in America, according to master teacher Asir the Duke of Tears. There were already Moorish Americans here. He was just resurrecting it for you because you went back to sleep, just like he said Moors are going to do. You're going to go back to sleep. Why are you going back to sleep for? So you're woke. How are you woke and you're still asleep? These Shriners have an organization. Moors have an organization. The Shriners logo is a Shriner holding a child, which is pretty much humanity. Noble Drew Ali's logo is, one of Noble Drew Ali's logos is Noble Drew Ali holding a mother. Shriner guys, they wear fezzes. Moors, they wear fezzes. Shriner guys, they have an oath. Moors, they have a holy covenant. Shriner guys, they have a constitution. Moors, they have a constitution. Shriner guys have a holy book. Moors have a holy book. Shriner guys have a, and you think we got the stuff from them? But all their stuff is called our names? What do you mean? How'd we get everything from them, but when we go to get everything back from the guy who stole it, it's in your name. It's not in his name because he stole it now. It's in your name still. And then you're going to listen to people telling you that, "Oh yeah, no, you don't want to be Moors because, the Shriners taught the Moors everything." They know because the Shriners wear fezzes and the Moors wear fezzes. And the Shriners are and the Moors are. No. Nope. Nope. If we aren't Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian, and to some in the temple, we aren't Moorish American. If we aren't in the temple, what are we then? Moorish American. Because temple doesn't make you a Moor. Anybody talking about, yeah, we got a temple over here, come over here, we'll make you a Moor? That's clear sign of money grab. Watch out. They're about to rob you. Because a building can't make you a Moor. The only way temple could make you a Moor is if you're talking about the temple between your ears. The only temple. If you're talking about a temple make you a Moor, that's the only temple that could make you a Moor. Because you might have been calcified. You know what I mean? So to chip away at the Negro, black, colored, and find out that you're a Moor, that's what it is. Right? Because again, this is the whole point of the confusion. This is the whole point of the propagandists. This is the whole point of the slanderers, is to cause confusion. It's not about, you see people, certain people use Kudro's name in their video and stuff like that, make pictures and do all this stuff. Like, I already know that that's conscious mental wrestling. I already know that's the guy that has the powder in his shorts and then he's gonna throw it in your face and all that stuff. I know what these people are about. This is for our people to be free, have a nationality, have a divine creed, have a prophet, be able to exist knowing that you have a prophet. And that prophet came to you because you needed him the most. So there's a special relationship there. Because he came specifically for us because we needed him the most. Like the Master C. Freeman said, people walk past him thinking that he wasn't Jesus. Didn't even realize Savior was right in their midst. The sellout is real. The sellout is so real. Don't you dare think that the sellout's not real because you see some Moors get some proclamations from some city official or whatever. You see some Moors exercise right to travel, so you think that this stuff is done. It's not done. We haven't even started yet. We haven't started yet because sellout guy. The sellout guy that everybody wants around. Everybody wants to interview the sellout guy. The people who could say police chief is their friend and stuff like that, but Moors have problems. Moors have problems. There was, actually, let me see if I find the, damn thing. Let me see if I find it. It's a lot more. I don't know if you have anything to add or not.
No, not right now. Not proliferate right now.
Islam. All right, the sellout is real. Let me just try to find this thing to show you how real the sellout is. Because people are going to talk about, they're Moors and, our people are Moors and we're not Negro, black, colored and all that stuff. But then when it comes down to, I thought we're all Moors, they leave brothers and sisters out to dry. When they were talking big before. And we know that our people don't know any better. Especially with them losing their attention span, where they get distracted by anything. Anything would have them. Oh yeah, right here.
Police rolled out the tank in a riot here on the city's northwest side. They say a man pulled out a shotgun because he was being evicted.
That man is now in police custody. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Fox 2's Robin Schwartz tells us his brother says this all stems from an illegal foreclosure.
The Detroit Police Special Response Team barrels down Grand River with sirens blaring. Patrol cars blocked off the neighborhood around the 17,600 block of Northrop, where bailiffs with 36th District Court came to serve an eviction notice. They say the man inside the house came out with a shotgun and refused to leave.
They did make contact with the individual inside the location who stated that he wasn't coming outside the house.
As heavily armed officers moved in, Fox 2 cameras caught a glimpse of these two men coming out of the house with their hands up. Both were taken into custody and police confiscated the weapon. We saw this man being released a short time later, and he tells a much different story about what happened with the bailiffs.
I came on the porch, told them who actually they were. We thought, they were trying to break in or whatever. Told them, had the shotgun, told them to leave. We're in the house, and the next thing you know, we see police climbing on these stairs here and blocking off streets and everything, and we wondering what's going on.
Was anybody threatened with a weapon?
No one was threatened with a weapon.
Anybody refused to come out of the house?
No one refused to come out of the house.
When we got closer, we could see this eviction notice in the front window and workers clearing out the house. The suspect's brother says this property has been the subject of an ongoing foreclosure battle that dates back to 2007. He says appeals have been filed in several courts.
This property here is in appeals court, it's in federal court, frame refuge court, all the courts, and we still proceed to do anything, do legal eviction.
We called 36th District Court, the law firm handling the foreclosure, and Bank of America to learn more about what led up to the eviction. We're still waiting for answers. Police tell us the man who was taken into custody will likely face serious charges in connection with the standoff. In Detroit, Robin Schwartz, Fox 2 News.
So in the news articles of this now, they have the grand sheiks or whatever, because they interviewed the grand sheik of a temple because a Moor was on the news. Remember, we're talking about, colonial broadcasters, right? These aren't the people who are, redneck country back road, whatever. Right? These are people who have been given the position of telecommunications and putting out information on airwaves and all that type of stuff. So how is it that some stuff happened in the news with some people who said that they're Bay or they're L and they had a fez on and all that, and then these people are going to question Moor Science Temple officials about these individuals who they saw on the street? Now they go to the Moor Science Temple officials And the Moor Science Temple officials are telling them that they don't do that. We're not the type of Moors who, fight for their property that they got handed down to them by their grandparents, that a corporate state is trying to escheat. And they're standing up to it. And he told you how much courts that the stuff's in. He has the stuff in all those courts and it's still going on. And they're just coming and taking houses and stuff. That's not because of some European. That's because of those Moors that said they didn't know that Moor. When brother was trying to save his house that he got handed down to him. And these people are trying to take the house because it's prime location for whatever it is that they want to do. And he named about 3 or 4 courts that his case is in. And nothing happening. And then we're looking at the European. It's not only the European. It's ones on your side that claim it was only a joke and unreal. That they didn't digest that. Hold on a second. That was a Moor in the news. If we claim him now, we're gonna get publicity. Nah, they threw the Moor out to dry. Just because he wasn't in the temple or in their temple. But he has a fez on. He knows he's a Moor. He wasn't in their temple. News came to talk to him about the Moor, this grand whoever in Detroit. And the grand whoever of the Moor Science Temple, who has the Holy Covenant and all that stuff, is telling these news people they don't know that Moor. Because he's standing up for his property. He wasn't trying to claim a house or none of that stuff that you see Moors doing now. That's not what he was doing. That was his property they were trying to take. And they said they don't know him. But then they're going to sit back and when a little boy gets shot and they turn in themselves or whatever because the Moors helped and Moor telling you that, police chief's my boy or whatever. So we had to assist in making the situation. Hold on a second. So you're not assisting in getting people out of this madness that's going on. How? How are you not assisting people with their property getting foreclosed on by some foreign European colonists who've mastered the art of steal your shit? Mastered it. They know steal your shit better than anybody. The guy from the block who you are, that dude, he would steal a watch off a brother's hand or whatever. He doesn't have nothing on these people. These people steal nations. Imagine stealing a nation. Forget Ocean's 15 and all that stuff. Steal a nation. Steal a nation, put yourself in the seat of the nation, and then have everybody call you the leader of it. There's no way that could happen without ones on the side of the people that sold out. Why are they selling out? What's the point of selling out? Because they want the fame and nobility. Do you know how sent you have to be going at Kudro? Like, it's like what Brother Yusuf says, right? I'm just speck of dust in the corner that the brush can't reach. Like I'm nobody.
Right.
I'm nobody. Cujo's nobody. Like you guys might play this as like something because we got YouTube page and you know what I mean? Like on the surface level. Forget the higher levels that we know what's what. On the surface level, I'm nobody. I'm just a brother out here just, you know what I mean, doing some stuff for my people. Because I already know we need something. We need anything than what we got. I'm nobody. There's
You know, the Green Sheik is being modest.
There's
He
Moors.
is the man in real life.
There's Moors. There's Moors who you think GS is something. There's Moors who I'm like, yo, that's the Moor right there. And we're not even talking about master teachers or whatever. We're talking about Moors who you don't even know about. Moors who are masters in their own right. You don't even know about them. Moors who you give them the key to the city, see what happens. We're not even talking masters who you know or whatever. We're talking about just regular Moors who know their self and they stand up for their right. And they're not standing up for their right to get a win or to lose or whatever. They're standing up for their right because it's like breathing. This is just something that you do. You stand up for your right. It's not for something. No, then this is that age. Everybody do something for something. Or yeah, push record for something because that's gonna get views. But then when stuff you should be pushing stuff for recording or whatever, you're not recording nothing because somebody said they're gonna beat you in the head with a billy club or whatever. But the guy getting the billy club, you just have to take those. Nobody's not gonna go lend anything. They're just gonna pull out their stuff and film and talk about look what happened. This is wrong. This is whatever. You stood there recording. You didn't do anything. Stood there with camera in hand, watching. Because what? So you can upload it later. Look like the cool guy. You're the cool guy because you were there recording stuff and doing nothing. And again, going back to Noble Jwali, he said that this is for you to do something. It's called a movement. It's called a movement. So moving has to be happening. There has to be some agitation. That's the problem with Temple Moors. They're not mad enough. They've had it comfortable. They can go to the city hall, talk to the mayor, police chief is their friend. They could do whatever. They're going to go out there with their plaques and they're going to march and picket with the whoever's because white supremacy is wrong. So we're going to, as Moors, be out here picketing some BS. Instead of using your little police chief and whoever else you know connections to benefit the nation. So everybody else is doing. You think Mr. Chin is not putting a Mr. Chin in office so a Mr. Chin could have some type of position where Mr. Chin could use his links to help Mr. Chin so Mr. Chin doesn't have to struggle? This is not how we do. Everybody wants the fame and nobility for their self. They want to spread it out. Right? And again, it's not a thing of them holding stuff up or they're doing something to stop something. People are waking up. Like people are waking up. We go back to the theme. Only a handful saved. So I don't know what people are expecting, but whoever's gonna be saved is probably saved already, and they're doing what they have to do to save themselves. And then when you link with like minds who want to save themselves, then you get some stuff done, because everybody wants to save themselves. But you have to want to save yourself. You have to. And the saving yourself. Go ahead, Moor.
You had brought up Mr. Chan. Speaking of Mr. Chan, my Moabite was just telling me, I don't know if you know about the incident on the airplane. A couple years back, when they had dragged the brother on the airplane, and like he was the incident where they had overbooked the airplane and they had chosen people to get off of the airplane, and he was one of the people that got chosen, and he was like, I'm not getting up. And then the security came to come get him off of the plane, and they dragged him off of the plane, but they ended up injuring him. Now this was like 2017, I think. It was a couple years back, but it just came out just now, a couple of days ago, that he sued and he won. But what they ended up doing was, when they went to drag him out, they ended up giving him a concussion, knocking 2 of his teeth out, and breaking his nose. And they gave Mr. Chan 140 million notes for his 140 million for his problems he had. And what was crazy was the dude who worked for the airplane, the people who did it, the security guard who did it. Yeah, he had to go speak to Congress because of the incident that was going on. Like, Congress told him, like, you got to come down here and talk to us and tell us what happened. Like, that, it was major, and like, they not publicizing it crazy, but it's out there. And he got an interview. You know what I mean? He got like a little interview on the news and everything, seeing what happened. But because when she was showing me, I remembered it happening, because when they had showed it on the news years ago when it happened, it makes it look like somebody just was acting like, like they was getting dragged, but acting like they passed out. And so, you know how people be looking like, I'm getting dragged outside fainting.
Right.
So that's how it looked. But it come to find out, like, nah, when they went to drag him, he hit his head on the seat, on the armrest. And that's how he ended up getting hurt. Yeah, he banged his head on the armrest. Okay. And I was like, oh, wow. So he really did get hurt. Gave that man 140 million. And his daughter was out there on there. She gave like a little speech or whatever. It went down. It's crazy. Yeah. And you know how I'm looking at it. I'm like, yeah, he has a nationality. Simple. So they got to deal with him differently.
Totally differently. They got to deal with him differently.
I'm like, Congress? What do you mean Congress? What do you mean, like, Congress? Like, what do you mean? Where's the regular police that they usually just call regular police?
Yeah.
No.
This because of nationality.
Damn near committed an international crime doing that. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy too, because the president of the airline, they even had him on the news. He even had to come out and apologize on behalf of the airlines or whatever. Because he even tried to do some shiesty stuff. And see, what happened was, while it was going on, everybody was videotaping it. So everybody was videotaping it. It was going on the internet that second. You know what I'm saying? So the send out an email saying that the guy was being belligerent and disorderly or whatever, but he wasn't. You know what I mean? But he really wasn't. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, that's crazy. And then that's what really got him in trouble with so-called Congress or whatever, because he tried to send an email out, but everybody already had seen the tape. Like the whole world already had seen what really happened. Like, and then you're gonna send the email out and try to lie?
Yeah, straight try to lie.
And that was straight try to lie on the dude. Yeah. Straight try to lie, and that's when Congress made him come in. Like the president had to come in, and the security guard had to come in. It was crazy. I was like, yeah, 140 mil. Dude, the dude, Chinaman looked like a new Chinaman, brand new teeth, looking good, looking good. Don't look like he got a scratch on him.
He's straight.
Straight. He told him, I'm not getting up. And they tried to remove him crap. Oh, that's gonna cost you 140 mil. We've seen what they do to our people for selling cigarettes. For doing minor things, nothing crazy, nothing. Something so minute is crazy, and then they're, this killing us. But because this man just had a concussion, lived to get to tell the story, 140 mil.
Right. It's crazy when you have the perspective, taking into consideration everything that Noble Jwali laid down, and you look at the world through the Moorish lens. It opens up what's really going on. It makes it very clear and evident what's going on. You're not going to be confused as to what's going on. Because that's the point. Keep the people confused. Have you not know what's going on, what has been going on. Right? Again, going back to Al America. In his financial dealings with Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, Columbus may have talked tough about the need to expel the Muslims from every inch of Spanish territory, but he knew that without Arab knowledge, which is Moorish knowledge, Spain's discovery of America, his discovery of America, could not have proceeded the way it did. In 1501, a year after his third journey to the Americas, Columbus specifically credited Moors among those who had aided him. Quote, every sea so far traversed have I sailed. I have conversed and exchanged ideas with learned men, churchmen, and laymen, Latins and Greeks, Jews and Moors, and many others of other religions. Throughout his maritime career, Columbus reaped the benefits of improvements that Arab and Muslims had made to scientific and navigational aids, whether through the advancement of cartography of al-Idrisi, the astronomical sites of al-Farghani, the streamlining of the mariner's compass used for centuries before Columbus by Arabs navigating the Mediterranean and ocean waters, or the contouring of the caravel, the swift Latin-rigged ships that comprised the Nina Pinta of Columbus' first Atlantic voyage. Europeans adopted the caravel from the Arabic Carib, Latin-rigged boats used for centuries before their adoption by European sailors. Nothing happens or goes on without Moor's intervention. And it just depends on which Moors you're linking with. You're linking with the faithful Moors, the Moors who are in this from a sincere, sympathetic position, or the cutthroat bastard Moors who would enslave you, enslave your mom, enslave your whole family, and then tell you, pay them, not to release them, just to have a conversation with them. And then we could talk about how much you're going to pay to get them released. When you're in error, Moor, for acting like a nigger. Because you already know that's not how you were brought up. Chewing with your mouth open and all that type of stuff. Like you never got the head back slaps when you did them, and the ears rung around 3 times because you did some BS. Like you don't know. Don't play like you don't know. Again, just like these people who have nationality card papers out here, but they're claiming they're from some organization with some black Muslims or whatever. But they got nationality paperwork. Who saw the Peace Moore? You see the nationality paperwork?
I saw the nationality paperwork.
Like, okay, so what do you get from, there's people out here who have nationality paperwork, but they're not saying they're Moors. They're saying everything else.
Right. And the thing is, I see I had said that too. Yeah, bring that up, that people out here bashing Moors were on the low trying to get Moorish paperwork. And you know, it's almost like unbelievable, but at the same time, you know, once you really know what's going on, you're like, well, I expect that, you know, because what else are you going to do? You know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, that's the dirtiest Moor in the world. It reminds me of like, what was that action movie with the avatars or something like that, with Thor, and that dude who was supposed to be helping, but instead he wore like this shawl and tried to hide and blend in with the women and children. He didn't want to go help. Like he rather stay around with the women and children and be safe instead of this grown men go over there and help. Like that's what that reminds me of. Like as soon as they get in trouble, you know, now they are Moor. But as soon as they back in whatever, like I knew that when I did my the first presentation out here, the so-called Hebrew Israelite guy who I held the event at, he goes to these so-called tribunal so-called courts, and he goes in there and presents himself as a Moor, but then goes right back to his place and it's Hebrew Israelite this, Hebrew Israelite that. Doesn't even tell his people about Moors or nothing. But he himself said it. Like, oh, when I go to court, I'm a Moor. I was like, oh, okay. So what's going on? Like, what's going on? It's like, and they're looking at you like, you didn't get, like, you're not getting a check. I'm like, no, I'm not getting, no. You guys are getting a check. You guys are selling out. They're getting paid for that. But behind closed doors, they're doing what they got to do to try to save their life. Mm-hmm. But that is the true definition of straddling the fence. Like they know, and worshiping 2 masters. Yeah. Like they're really doing it.
Yeah, they're actually really doing it. Straight. Like they're really, really doing it.
Like how can you call somebody the you know, Elijah or whatever, the prophet, but then you got Moorish paperwork. Like that whole thing comes from Noble Jawari.
Yeah. Crazy.
How could you do that? That's hypocritical to the core. To the core, you're lying about who you are as a person. You're lying about who you are religiously. You're lying about who you are, like just lying. Whatever you got to do to hang, to be around, whatever, so you can be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's an agent, like a real agent, like a sports agent. Like that's what they do.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly what they do.
That's what they do, man.
Right. So we know that they got nationality paperwork. You know what I mean? We know they have nationality paperwork. But are they telling the people? They're not telling the people that they're Moors when they go to court. They're telling them Hebrew Israelite. They're not telling their people we're Moors when we go to court and we were standing on Moorish law. They're black Muslims.
Yep.
They're an Islamic nation, but they're not Moors. Because their leader never said we're Moors. He has paperwork that says he's a Moor. What do you mean? We know he has paperwork that says he's a Moor. We know that. Tripping. And there's some more, but we're gonna get off this. But we always have to put out there, put it in the ethers. We always got to put the symbols in the ethers, since it's in the hands now. So expect symbols all the time for a little while till we get through almost every page of this. At least put it in the ethers. Page 93. Enslaved, persecuted priestesses in Rome. Enslaved and persecuted Afro-Roman priestess. The fall of the black matriarchal sacerdotal power around the world is a history that has never been told. Afro-Roman women being sold into slavery against her will. In the utmost humiliation, her price and life history hangs around her neck. Western historical revisionists and Hollywood have done a superb job in convincing the world that Moorish Africa's predominance never existed outside of the continental Africa. They have alleged that those Moors allowed on camera have always been slaves or servants to the white Roman aristocracy. However, just as ancient Greek history tells us that a Moorish matriarchal presence first existed before the Dorian Greek arrival, the same holds true for Rome. Africans, Black Buddhists, Umbrians, and Black Etruscans erected civilizations in what is now Italy, thousands of years before the Anglo-Romans arrived. What is now called the seat of the Vatican in Italy was originally the sacerdotal seat of the ancient Black Sibyls. It was their thrones and sacerdotal power and prophecies that were stolen from them, and their religions labeled as pagan heathen under a racialist Roman Church. It was this African traditional religionist groups, and not the so-called Christians, who were the actual ones persecuted and finally enslaved as the above quote-unquote African woman who was probably a priestess. For example, the Cumean Sibyl, Herophile, once worshipped and hailed by the Romans as a divine goddess, is now rewarded with a place in the Old Testament as the Bat Lady, or the Witch of Endor, Samuel 1, verse 28. The Divine Mother, now masculinized as Father, was angered by his chasing the Sibyls, Pythoness, out of the city. The spirits refused to answer him, by his own oracles, nor by dreams, nor by the Hebrew divination of throwing the knuckle bones of a ram as dice, nor by their Hebrew prophets. The church papals were not finished because they now attributed all divine, prophetic, and healing powers only to quote-unquote Christ. Hierophile, being emblematical of the entire African religious tradition, was now demonized. In exposing the hypocrisy and sentiment of the church, he sums it up in the following terms. The first most illustrious of witches, ancestor, mother, model, prototype, and flawless exemplar of all medieval witches, that venerable Pythoness, the witch of Endor, who was a necromancer. Her special mastership lay in enforcing the appearance of the dead. We see in the fact that she had no difficulty in making the prophet Samuel come out of the tomb. Power or no, he could not escape the dark power of the diabolical woman. Right? Again, to put it plain, if you don't give up your 2 apples, you're going to lose the whole orchard. They have taken the position of taking the divine mother, relegate her to some type of father, whatever, or demonize her by saying that she's a witch or something like that. But again, when we do the research and we realize that witch is wise woman, we realize these people are playing themselves. And they're playing themselves because they don't study. And it's real simple. All you got to do is just study. That's all. Day of Doom. Final prophecy for Rome. In the end, none of Rome's heroic efforts could starve off the inevitable fate of its impending destruction. In a desperate attempt to prevent the inevitable, the papal imperials searched desperately for the unfilled prophecies of the Sibyls concerning Rome's final fate. Scrambling aimlessly through the Sibylline oracles, which had by now undergone a total masculinization and Christianization of God, they tripped and stumbled upon a few verses, revealing that the die had already been cast. The divine African mother, who now delighted in prophesying their destruction, in her final words had only this to say: thrice 300 years having run their course of fulfillment, Rome by the strife her people shall perish. Rome is doomed to perish, and that indeed by the judgment of God, because it held her name in hatred, and being the enemy of the righteousness, it destroyed the people who kept the truth. There shall come the sometime from above, a heavenly stroke deserved, O haughty Rome, and thou shalt be the first to bend thy neck, and be raised to the ground, and shall fire destructive utterly consume, cast down upon thy pavements, and thy wealth shall perish, and wolves and foxes dwell in the foundations. And then shalt thou be wholly desolate, as if not born. Who you get for abandoning mother? That's all you want? That's really all you want. We abandon mother so we can get what we're dealing with right now? This is what you wanted. Madness. What became of the Sibyls? In a final effort to blot out traces of the ancient African matriarchs and later the patriarchs' undeniable presence and influence in the ancient world, one of the most egregious historical lies disseminated by the imperial church in Rome and continued unchallenged by present-day Western historians is their unproved claim that all the descendants of the ancient Egyptians, Phrygians, Pelasgians, Phoenicians, Canaanites, and Syrians, including their culture, religion, languages, are now completely extinct. Western historians erroneously assert that these major African clans left no remote traces of themselves, neither in Africa nor anywhere else in the world. The Holy Papal Fathers further designated the above ethnic classifications to the present-day occupants of Egypt, Greece, Turkey, and Syria, respectively, misleading the entire world to believe that they are the actual descendants of the original indigenous African and Afro-Elamite groups whose powerful empires once ruled the ancient world. Sibyl of Cumia. And every land shall be filled up with the Africans, and every sea, and everyone shall be offended with thy customs. That what Moore is going through today? These people let you wear whatever. You start talking about turbans and fezzes and stuff like that, now they got a problem. Now you can't wear that, and why you wearing that and all that. Right? There's so much in this book. It's crazy. There's so much. At Delphi, during patriarchal occupation of the temples, Kume is said to have sung endlessly to her sacred deity installed in the sacred Omphale. In one of her favorite epitaphs, she sang, I, Sibylla, Phoebus' wise woman, am hidden under a stone monument. I was a speaking virgin, but voiceless. In this manacle, by the strength of fate, I lie close to the nymphs, Mami, and to Hermes. I have not lost my sovereignty. Sovereignty? Sound familiar? Sounds like something we've been lacking. And that the so-called black leaders who have nationality cards and Moorish paperwork and stuff and all that are trying to convince you not to go there. Just sticking close to where they know, once they keep you in that little existence, that it's a revolving door and you'll get stuck there. There's so much. There's so much that we need to get back to. By the 1500s and 1600s, the war on African religious culture and clergy continued to be an important central target of Vatican authorities. Its primary aim was not only to colonize and to pillage Africa, but also to destroy and obscure the direct ethnological, theological, cultural, and linguistic link to their own sacerdotal knowledge, which they knew originated in Africa. Remember, like we talked about earlier, where's Africa at? Well, Africa's over there and Africa's over here. There's not one Africa and over there and that's it. If they said at one time the people of the world were called Asiatics, then obviously there's not just Asia over there. Asia is a world idea. If Asia is a world idea because everybody's Asiatic, because they're from Asia, but they look like us and they're from over here, but they're Asiatic. It's real simple once you use your common sense. The divine serpent deity was central to African matriarchal oracular tradition. It not being indigenous to European culture only served to further perpetuate and to make believable the fantastical lies and myths of bizarre orgies, dark rituals, African debauchery perpetuated by the church. Over time, all of Europe began to formulate a white racial identity based upon specific phenotype. One of the indicators of pure Aryan blood was not to possess a lineage of any Taurian blood in one's vein. The Taurians in Europe, Taurians, were identified as those serpent worshippers who introduced the Mami Isis tradition into Rome and Ireland. So connected were the Nagas, serpent worshippers, with the colored races that it became almost the exclusive litmus test for Aryan purity. So prejudiced were they against them that in 1865, James Ferguson, Esquire, in his research on serpent worship, commented that we have not in Germany we have not in Germany as we find in Greece any traces of that underlying race of less intellectual Taurians who seem everywhere to have been the serpent worshippers all the world over. All the world over. And that's how you know you're dealing with Moors, because you start talking world. You start talking world, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to be. Don't forget that was the Sibyls. The prophetess, the first prophetess of Mami Wata. The theft of African prophecy by the Catholic Church. Mama Zogbe. Intense. Oh, don't thank me, thank the mothers for the book. The mothers who pulled this one out. We're just putting it out as a reference. It's not more.
It's not.
Yeah. You know you had the apples today.
Oh yeah, you know it.
But you know, you have any closing out for these Moors?
Well, you know, it's to the Grand Sheik, because the Grand Sheik, you just laid down a lot of information for him in itself. And a lot of I just noticed too, I'm listening and I'm seeing, you know, I'm listening to you and I'm like, man, this is the same thing over and over and over again. It's like,
Yep.
when you showed me the video earlier, I told you, I said, yeah, like, let's do it, because it's, you know, like, what else they gonna say? They all say the same thing over and over and over again. It's just out of nowhere, they just pop back up.
Pop back up.
Saying
That's how they do.
Saying the same thing.
That's how they do. Peace and love to all the Moors worldwide, wherever you're at. Got questions?
Wow.
Canaanlandguide@gmail.com. Canaanlandguide, GUIDE, @gmail.com. You can also call the Temple line if you don't want to email and you want to reach out and touch. You can't get a hold of anybody because Moors don't answer their calls or whatever. 647-748-6664. 647-748-6664. That's the Temple voicemail. So, anybody could check that. Mother might or whatever. So, crazy messages on there. And don't forget, study, Mars. You already know. Knowledge is key. And Nobuju Ali brought us the starting point of that for us to get this stuff right. Unfortunately, there's been ones on our side that don't want stuff to get right. So that just means we got to put in a little bit extra. You know what I mean? So you think you've been doing 100% for the profit? Great. Let's get another 100 done. Think you've been doing everything you can to save your nation? Great. Let's do some more stuff that we think we could do. You think you paid all your dues and you gave your 2 apples? All right, give a basket of apples tomorrow. Just because we want to get this stuff right. And again, from the mothers, a message to the mothers, go get that book, The Sibyls. From what the Moorish mothers say, they need that book for them to really realize what it is they're supposed to be doing and what happened, why you stopped doing what you're supposed to be doing. All the mothers. And then there's a hex on the book that if you're a mother, but you're, not in your nationality and birthrights and all that stuff, and you think you're going to try to take some position of, superior or whatever, there's a little ritual in the book, one of the Sybil quotes, so that you don't take advantage of the powers. So I say peace and love to all Moors. And yeah, we could let you go with a little something more. Islam, Moors.
Keep it on, keep under pressure of the oppressor. We got to do it, got to make everything better. We only got, so let's join together. I get emotional, keep it on, under pressure of the oppressor. We got to do it, got to make everything better. We only got, so let's join together.
Gone are the days of some rest. Where are the days of less stress? Where are the days of calm unification? Fez and turban, the whole nation under a banner, get banned, got hanged. Canaanland is the song slave sang. Heading up north, past Niagara Falls. Gold on the neck and grist on the shores. Some just walk, most rode on a horse. Tell memory of thee when I lost on course. Hero on my shoulder, in my ear in loss. Code of my art with force. My families are noble, sheikhs and lords. First place of chakras, alchemist Moors. Since the battle of Tours, my face on his cross hand loose. My face has troops and in roots. Let me tell your story you lose. Hang on a corner, just another noose. Hang on a rim, slave to the game. Still got a 10 cause they got me trained. Noose on the brain, no jokes, no smiles. Use killers' names in library files. History of Moors, America lies in aisles. In the berry of lies, from primary to secondary. Schools, concentration camps, lockdown scary. Twisting the laws and the keys and locks. Classes, Nazis, those are not cops. Bloodstained shiny rocks. When force starts, it can't stop. But it will, with the will of the people towards self, not the church steeple. They say we equal, but act opposite. Ego sees a way and then cops it. Robbing like robbing, not giving up the poor. Collecting handouts, not giving up the cure. In parts, not holistic. Mystic, natural, not eyes. Mystic, national, that's wise. Big shades, it's not iron sheet but plies. All of the puppets did sewn and stuff it. The rap game is mixed these, that's how they love it. Climbing the charts forever, can't get above it. Putting out whack album plus with the budget. I damn rappers flows.
they can't budget. Lose $1 million house, you can't budget. They use the net and seduce a pen pal. Male or female, that's the signal. I can see Puffy the Magic Dragon puffin'. Dancing the fez, man, you just bluffing. That fez should get grabbed off the head, get bussin', and get cussing, some pushing and shoving. Rap nerds wanna be cool like McLovin. Rap Hitler put rap Jews in the oven. Rap nerds wanna be cool like McLovin. Rap Hitler put rap Jews in the oven.
Keep under pressure of the oppressor. We got to do, we got to take everything back. We all we got, so let's join together. I get emotional, under pressure of the oppressor. We got to do, we got to take everything back. We all we got, so let's join together.
Yeah. I get emotional. I'm on the verge of saying fuck this though. But when I look at all the work that's been put in the canal, it gets more personal. More further than jail than the slaves. Underpaid, underserved, money crave. Prison is a racial passage to the eyes of the youth when they're raised from the youngest age. You know that man until you feel decay. You can get people with a sawed off gauge. Niggas hate themselves so much, might as well hail Hitler. Follow with these skinheads cringe. I can very much grow unscathed. No more civil liberties getting waived. Come on, nationality, I'm a Moor for sure. On the triple crown, it's engraved. But a son of non-speak is your voice. Committed to use your option of choice. AHF is always on the battlefield with a shield till we win, then we'll rejoice. Back on this mic again, genetically bred to win. I gotta thank God for this day, it's a gift that my skin's got melanin. My words must change our condition. Raise children with love and ambition. Rapists, I mean rappers who can do the funny names. I did to this inquisition. Charlie whispers to Charlie head rush. When the trap and get your head bust. These steps is the way that we walk unspark in the dark. There's nothing to discuss. When I get emotional,
Keep under pressure of the oppressor. We got to do, we got to take everything back. We all we got, so let's join together. I get emotional, under pressure of the oppressor. We got to do, we got to take everything back. We all we got, so let's join together.
You ever really wonder why the sky is blue? I hear where the Anunnaki is it true? Tell me what you wanna do, you wanna swim in the bling, what full spells through? Undercover cops at your block, oh, thinking it's a god, but it's really the Gestapo. President's a damn prop, just a puppet like Pinocchio and Lamb Chop. Camera, camera, take the Yoda back, Jews at the football games, team, gotta go to back. Camera, they wanna be fully putting on for the black music videos on BET, make a heart attack, yo, got it. All to the ground, start screaming, stop. Think that it's here, that you're breathing hot. You don't know about the Stargate and the Gulf of Aden that the armies are releasing. I heard Cthulhu's not sleeping. BP spills the oil and not weeping. The diamonds on the floor start sweeping into your pockets. Give me free things. Obama is the president, great, but they told you that would happen in the movie. Had to stay, get it straight, sit in the sun and meditate. Everyone is born with an expiration date. Life is really nothing but a period of grace, separating the best genetic material from the waste and then sending it with haste into the next generation. Constant accumulation of trivial information is sparking civilizations, slowing social progress, reducing the rate of evolution. It's how the humans will lose. The truth is moved. Northeast, west, and south is called news.
Keep under pressure of the oppressor. We got to do, we got to take everything back. We all we got, so let's join together. I keep emotional, under pressure of the oppressor. We got to do, we got to take everything back. We all we got, so let's join together.
I feel Garveyite and the NOI too. How come you don't know about truth? Ask your teacher, Master Masons, or your seafood. How come you don't know about Drew? Go ask the Reverend. Ask your fam or crew. How come you don't know about Drew? Ask the warlocks of rap, sipping evil witches brew. How come you don't know about Drew? Elijah Pule is the Moorish national. Elijah Muhammad is the straw man shadow. York after Malachi is owned by the British. Zadok El is on the blue waiting for the idiots. Master of gods is Nuwapian's birthright. Teach from Nuwapian Morse paper they want to fight. Circle 7 is the universal flag. I rep that. And Clarence 13X is my dad. Suali came first to save the mindless masses. Went from Moorish conventions to conscious classes. Went from feathers to koofies to baseball hats. Went from Rasta to Moorish. Replace your sash. Replace the RPG banner with a Moroccan flag. Replace Ross with cheek. Blast get toe tag. Till I see Triple Crown is a fez with no tassel. Showing temple cards as ID with no hassle. Ask the RBI and the NOI too. How come you don't know about Drew? Ask your teacher, Master Masons, or your seafood. How come you don't know about Drew? Go ask the Reverend. Ask your fam or crew. How come you don't know about Drew? Ask the warlocks of rap, sipping evil witches brew. How come you don't know about Drew? Illuminate rapper masons, rhyming Moorish science, hip-hop renaissance, reverse Earth's global climate. Out the dark ages, many pages get burned without the chance to flip, be read or turn. No learning, blacks enslaved by the vermin. The Moors victim to Inquisition is purging. The government violating the covenant of contract. Hip-hop general Iron Sheik, no squad to bomb track. Moors branded like Louisville slugger bass with a name not theirs, void ab initio contract. Most don't get it, cause they don't study the law. But they come from the galaxy behind the furthest star. To fight legal battles, they higher the bar. Who obtains leave cause you abandon your rights thus far. Told you on Iron Sheet 2, no need to represent. Just study the prophet and what he presents. Most don't stand for what he defends. Most elders over their mouth, they need their pens. Higher self ascends, lower he descends. Conscious without a nation means he pretends. She pretends, which means we pretend. Pick up abandoned birthrights and the healing begins. Build on pillars strong like 7 North-alleged twins. Iron Sheik 100%, most are partly skim. Ask the RBI and the NOI too. How come you don't know about Drew? Ask your teacher, Master Masons, or your seafood. How come you don't know about Drew? Go ask the Reverend. Ask your fam or crew. How come you don't know about Drew? Ask the warlocks of rap, sipping evil witches brew. How come you don't know about Drew?
So it has right here in the dictionary, black Moor. And it has the part of speech right under it. Next to it says noun. And it says a black person, man or woman, Negro. Then it has in italics, black in small case, plus then it got Moor capitalized. There's identity right there in the dictionary. It was never even really hidden. You tell these people they're Moors, they say, what religion is that? They are so asleep. The sorcerers did a good job. And we're battling sorcerers. Of course, if we come out talking that way from the door, you'd think we're out to lunch. You understand? People, it's sort of like our arrogance, our poisonous and toxic self-righteousness has cursed us for quite a few generations. We got to fix it.
Rapper Inquisition. Iron Sheik inducted, now a secret chief. Flow Lord of Vic rappers, Mike Sharif. Got producers giving me free beats like Hanif. Cause when I flow, it's deep like a coral reef. Wash up, rapping jellyfish on the beach. Nothing to hide, show my face when I speak. Black power cartels, are black Charles Martels. Hammer the points down, just like colors pastel. I drop it so hard that you need a hard hat. Rappers take off like Sleepy Hollow heads off on tarmac. You be black, but those whose skin is brown got their own convenience stores and temples in your town. Got politicians in their back and front pocket. Use nationality to protest so pigs can't stop it. Sorta like they can't stop the prophet. No, not J. Rue, but the prophet Noble Drew. Most say who when that name is called, but no Abraham, Isaac, Cain, and Paul. They know rappers' real names and the b-ball stats. They know cause names and religious holy cats. Claim they know it all. I see their mentals crazy. When I'm on the mic, rappers begging for the fat lady, begging for Jehovah and Slim Shady, begging for no physical but want mental slavery. Brain dead masses under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay. Brain dead masses are under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay.
You know the problem that I have with most of these cartoons is that their reality's as real as cartoons on a road trip. Wile E. Coyote's supposed to know this. He can't outroad a road runner in his district. Pistols cocked back on some Wild West slick shit. Niggas in the rap game like paid parking tickets. Expiry specific. Dietary plans of true greatness omitted. The bottom line ain't shifting unless the gods make that difference. Hook up like nobody's business, but our own was only our interest. Unless the interests of all is sitting on chrome, falling out of control in big lavish homes. And hey, I ain't hating on the soul. I'm just thinking of a life where everything is whole, organically grown. Emphatically no, when asked who I want to hold for a label, report or copy my
Brain dead
own.
masses under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay. Brain dead masses are under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay.
The job of resurrectors is to wake up the dead on this mic in full life. Off with the head of the beast and its puppets. With love we serve justice. The first of the earth, the last to get buffeted. They corrupted, the fouls being purged back to basics. Withdraw from the matrix, recover what's sacred. No more colorable statuses, fiction apparatuses. I affirm and declare indigenously everywhere. Circle the seven with our own vine and fig. Visual for the people by the people, there it is. Cleaning up the lies. 5 noble tribes, navigate with the stars. In tune with the tides, more love, more life, all law on our side for the record. The mission is to know self-perfected, corrected, gold and silver back, sword protected from the depths to the heights, the essence. That's right.
Brain dead masses under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay. Brain dead masses are under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay.
Sometimes it's good to talk, most times it's best to listen. At times you always dull, certain times it just glisten. But the mission and the test and the challenge is to overstand the difficulties of the balance. But when you try to build your palace or your temple, it's decomposing flesh. The more you don't clean the physical, the more you smell like that. Don't seek the spiritual, you're gonna get left. Certain crucial, key, vital, essential steps that have to be taken before you take your last breath. But I guess most of y'all can't be bothered, but I bet millions more will be slaughtered. A public figure keep on out like martyrs. Too much shotters, we need more fathers to raise the daughters. Lord of mercy, forget the youth thirsty, but we still brain dead.
Brain dead masses under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay. Brain dead masses are under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay. Shane Sparks and Mark Houston types got your daughters kissing their friends like entertainment dykes. LGTB and the rest of the crazies. Each rapping R&B to force right their babies. Fam, I used to know to sell crack to scabbies. I'm now legit with businesses, not baby daddies. Codes of the street gone, everybody's got beef. Youths beef with their mom's friend's son from across the street. False flagging by the way they dress, more so fagging. One thing to move with the horse behind the wagon. Brown bodies, DT's bagging with the pants sagging. Claim saved in contract with the 7-headed dragon. Looking for pardons through the officers of the courts. Moors are held at Shadow Inquisition forts. Some still on the ports, coke in a can. Turn your pioneer to stone and your blood to sand. Brain dead masses under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay. Brain dead masses are under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay.